flight attendant secrets that we are clueless about. Now, you may feel envious seeing the glamorous lives that the flight attendants enjoy, but there is more that goes on behind the curtains than we don't know about. There's no denying that flight attendants travel all over the world, unlike people with regular jobs, but these attendants have to take rigorous training, at times have to deal with horrible passengers. Now, you may not think about it, but there's plenty of what goes around in a flight that only the attendants deal with. And they are good at hiding things with a charming smile. So here are some things that will surprise you, and you'll see things from a different perspective when you fly. Hands behind their backs. Ever notice that when a flight attendant is greeting you, their hands are clasped firmly behind their back? Is it just a gesture to stand, or does it mean something? Well, next time, you'll know the reason why. The attendants hide their hands as they are secretly doing a head count on their fingers. If they do the same in front of you, you'll feel like a scrutiny, a bit embarrassing. Next time, do not stop to casually chat with the attendant as you are possibly disrupting their counting. Sleeping compartments. You take your nap several times during long-haul flights, but what about the attendants? You will find them quick to attend to your needs, but if it's a 14-hour-long flight, they too would need some time to rest. Well, there are secret compartments standard in big planes, including the Boeing 787 and the 777. These rooms are mainly for the staff and are windowless sleeping quarters. So if you do not find your favorite flight attendant around, they're probably having a quick nap, and another attendant would be there to assist you. Going barefoot. You might find it convenient to take off your shoes during long flights. Sometimes passengers will even walk around barefoot. Try to look at the expression on the attendants' faces, as it will show understandable disgust. It's not that they are complaining about your lack of manners of roaming without putting your shoe back on. Flight attendants know that with thousands of people traveling in and out of the plane, the floor can get disgustingly dirty. The sanitization can clean things to an extent, but think twice if you want to walk barefoot on a plane, or when you do, give a look to the flight attendant near you. We're sure you'll put your shoes back on. Romance in the air. Well, not really, but it is also safe to say that relationships do groom inside a flight. You got the beautiful ladies and handsome young men working as flight attendants, and they spend hours on duty together. If not all, then a majority will usually end up in a relationship. You may see a subtle smile or a look when they pass each other if you observe, but that's all the action you will get from them on a flight. After all, nobody wants to romance at their jobs and get in trouble. Access to cell phones. Unlike the passengers who have limited access to their phones and would not have access to free Wi-Fi, all flight attendants have their cell phone and Wi-Fi at all times. While their job is challenging, they do get these perks. Also, it's not that bad to travel the globe and make good money while doing so. They have restraining power. Try not to get too out of control when you fly. It is often that at times a passenger may lose their temper, behave irrationally, or try to intimidate the staff or other passengers. Well, if such things happen before the flight takes off, the airport security can be called in to deal with the passenger. But what if the trouble comes from the passenger when the flight is on its way? Well, the charming flight attendants not only have the right to arrest you, but they can also use force to restrain the passenger who could potentially disrupt the flight with their mid-air tantrums. The flight attendants have zip ties to hold down an aggressive passenger, and they can also use seatbelt extensions to restrain a person. The passenger would have to move from their seat and move to another area, and the first thing happens when the flight lands are security officials standing outside to receive the aggressor. Secret communications. The last thing that the flight attendants want to do is freak out on the passengers. However, there are times when there could be air turbulence or any other trivial matters that the flight attendants do not want the passenger to worry about unnecessarily. So, these attendants communicate in secret codes. They use the secret codes to tell each other about what is going on the flight. You would often hear a ding after the plane takes off or when it lands. This is to inform the attendants that the dangerous part of taking off or landing is over and they can resume their duties. Falling for the attendant. Maybe the beautiful girl in her short skirt and long legs is giving you too much attention, but you are mostly overthinking as the flight attendant is just doing her job by being polite with you and attending to your needs. Still not convinced? You could try to flirt a bit, but don't worry, airlines have set many rules on what to do when passengers get chummy. The chances of you hitting it off with the air attendant are as much as the adventures of the flight landing on the moon. These stunning ladies are absolutely professional, so while they may shower you with a smile and care, they'll keep you at your place. Don't get excited. When you board the plane, you may notice the cute flight attendant checking you out, but before you get excited, there are 2 reasons for that, and you may not be aware of the second one. Everyone can understand that greeting is part of the hospitality that attendants extend to their passengers. What most passengers don't know is that when the air hostess is checking out the person, she is making mental notes about the passengers, especially those who are traveling alone or could be a problem later. So if you find an attendant checking you out a lot, give your manners a revisit. Get an upgrade on the flight. It doesn't hurt to be nice to the flight attendants, and thanking them when they assist you is not only polite, but can bring you good dividends. Many people take flight attendants for granted, while some don't even acknowledge them at all. But they too want to feel appreciated, and if you do that, they could even reward you by giving you an upgrade on the flight if the seat is available. Also, if you are pregnant or too tall or have some other issues, you can always request for an upgrade, and if you've been nice, the air attendants will go out of their way to find an empty seat for the upgrade. The pay does not cover everything. There is a misconception that flight attendants make a lot of money. The reality is that the job is not a profession that brings in a large chunk of change. There's a lot that air attendants do where they get paid as little as $1 per hour. They do a lot of things for one flight, from doing safety checks on the check, getting everything in order, and staying in air for a long time. Later, they greet the passengers and attend to their queries as they arrive. All this is paid no more than $1 or $2 per hour. The actual salary comes into play only when the flight takes off, and the attendant gets paid for the number of hours they work on the flight. All the other work and hours they have to put in before the flight goes up as practically free. They'll put you in your place if they have to. Do not order too many drinks on the flight and make a fuss about it. You can get in legal trouble, as you can get a 2-year sentence on getting drunk on the flight. So the air attendants can flatly refuse to serve you more alcohol during flight. So please don't think of creating a fuss for drinks. If the law does not bother you, you should also know that having too much alcohol is a health hazard, and you could even risk your life, as changing cabin air pressure may cause a reaction in you due to alcohol in your system. Diet Coke, please. Well, if you want to irritate your flight attendant, you can always ask for a Diet Coke. Of all the soft drinks that attendants have, the most fizziest is the Diet Coke, and worse, it often overflows, creating more mess for the attendants. It takes twice as much time to pour a Diet Coke than any other carbonated drink. All that fuzz because you could not have asked for plain water instead of Diet Coke? Oh well, there's always next time. Turning off the lights. While the flight takes off or it lands, it is routine for passengers to see the light inside the plane turning off. People don't think much of it, as the light turns back on as soon as the plane is in the air or lands. Well, we don't mean to scare you, but maybe perhaps to educate yourself better, the landing and takeoff are the most dangerous part of the flight, and so much so that they turn off the lights. This practice is to ensure that if there is an emergency during the takeoff or landing, your eyes are already ready for the dark surroundings, so people can orient themselves better. Perhaps it was better maybe to keep that one a secret. Try not to go for the hot beverages. If it was possible, the air attendants would openly advise you to not have a lot of tea or coffee on your flight. The portable water for hot beverages, of course, comes through filtration. However, the tanks that contain the water are not as thoroughly cleaned as you would like to think. We would not talk too much about this, but we still advise that it is better to pass the urge on having hot beverages during your flight. Moreover, the food is uncertain. Well, we would like to keep your appetite in check during the flights, especially the long ones. You would not realize it, but the content of air meals is shocking to say the least. In-flight meals contain a large quantity of sugar, salt, and give almost no nutritional value. If you eat too much, you will feel bloated, and it is often you see people getting sick due to overeating the in-flight meal. So, eat less and try to stick to the vegetable or fruit serving you may get on the flight. The less carbs you have during your flight, the more relaxed you will be on your journey. The job is not of a king. You see flight attendants roaming at the airports looking good, and you feel they live the life of a king. They get to travel places, roam around in luxurious planes, and fly to their heart's desire. Well, the reality is different, and you can also notice this as soon as the flight takes off. Flight attendants have to serve the passengers at all times, get no time to rest, and even have to deal with impolite passengers with smiles. It is not wrong to say that their job as on a plane often requires them to work as polite waiters, and it can get demeaning for them if a passenger insults them. Apart from the things to endure during the flights, the flight attendants also have to work odd hours and sometimes back-to-back flights. They are often away from their family for a long time, especially when they are on international flights.